Good morning, class. This morning I'd like to talk with you about Henry Ford and defend my research paper. I had written a research paper on American exceptionalism. And so Henry Ford was responsible for a lot of that exceptionalism, and I'd like to explain to you why. In 1896, Ford built his first practical car, and in doing that, the genius of his invention was in the distributor. The distributor delivered a spark to the cylinders, and the engine just kept accelerating, and it delivered more power, also more speed to the car. Henry Ford developed the moving assembly line so that he could eventually build a car every 2.5 minutes. So it was a very efficient system that he worked out. And Henry Ford built factories all around the world. So he was producing cars for millions of people. And in that regard, he changed the way people lived. That we were able to get in a car and go to the store, get in a car and go on vacation, get in the car and go to work. And so it really changed the way we lived our lives, and people could easily trace that back to Ford Motor Company and Henry Ford. And everybody could own a Model T. The Model T was the centerpiece of the Ford Motor Company. Ford produced the Model T for 20 years. And again, the Model Ts were produced all around the world with Ford's name on them. And so that was part of the American exceptionalism. America must be a wonderful place to be able to produce this kind of a vehicle. For 20 years, Ford Motor Company produced the Model T, and then Henry's son Edsel eventually convinced him that the marketplace was changing. People wanted colors, they wanted better styling, and so after 20 years, Henry agreed to change the styling, change the motor, and Ford Motor Company came out with the Model A, which was ahead of its time. The V8 engine was exceptional at the time. And so Ford continued to produce these cars around the world, and at the same time he was employing millions of workers. He increased the pay of the workers to $5 a day, which was unheard of. Most car companies paid $2 a day. And then it eventually went up to $7 a day. So Henry Ford shared his wealth, the profits that he was making, with his workers. And he also cut back on their hours, so they had a shorter work day and a shorter work week. And historians give Henry Ford credit for starting the middle class. Workers could now afford to buy a car that they were making on the assembly line. They could also start buying some of the things that Thomas Edison was making, toasters and washing machines and things to make their lives easier. But some would say that Henry Ford had a dark side, and he was not perfect. He did all of these wonderful things, but he did have a few flaws. And one of those was that he had a relationship with Adolf Hitler that tarnished his reputation a little bit. Plus, he was considered to be anti-Semitic. And I think the good that Henry Ford did far overshadows some of the bad faults that he had. Anyway, Henry Ford is known as somebody who put America on wheels and changed the way we live and brought prosperity to a whole new class of workers. So did Henry Ford promote American exceptionalism? The answer is yes, he did. And he also introduced a lot of marketing, management, manufacturing techniques that changed industry in America and the world. Anyway, it's been a pleasure being in class with you. Thank you for your attention.